Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, December 1st. The time is 6:02 p.m. And I will call to order the meeting of the Bike Walk Commission. I am Emily Berneman. In attendance tonight, we have Christina Randall, Manny Salgado, Nick Pappas, Brian Clark, Elizabeth Sile, Becca Stoll, joined by Greg and Dilene Bird with the city. And then I see we have some members of the public joining. So as we open up, I will move on to our first item on our agenda here, which is public participation. So if there are any comments or if anyone from the public would like to speak or um, introduce themselves for anyone new, now is the opportunity to do so. Okay, with that, I will move on to our next item here, the acceptance of the minutes. I did send Dilene just now, and I'm sorry for the delay, a quick amendment to the end of the minutes about the calf pasture beach section. I think in our meeting last time, I mentioned a question around whether it was part of the NRVT or not. After a note from the board, I wanted to amend those to um, explicitly say that they are, in fact, that the bike route will be considered part of the NRVT. So that was the only change I had for the minutes in our last special meeting on November 10th. And including that too, I also mentioned to Dilene, we used to have a watermark, or I don't know if we had it recently, but in the past, we've distinguished draft meeting minutes versus approved meeting minutes by having a draft watermark. I don't know if the process changed or if I just lost track of how, since on the new system in 2025, if that's changed at all. Dilene, do you know if that's possible to have that watermark draft on our draft minutes before they're approved?
I'll have to ask because no other committee does that, but I can ask and find out and let you know.
Okay, thank you. Becca, go ahead.
To clarify, so our minutes become available to the public before we approve them. Is this is true? I'm just curious about the process.
Yeah, so we have to post the meeting minutes within 7 days after the meeting.
All right, and then is approve like what is the mechanism or the point of us approving them if they're already public? Is it just corrections, addenda? Is it just to seal them in the public record?
I mean, I guess
It's
it's a combination of both.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for us to review them and make changes before, to your point, Becca, they're sealed and, forever posted. I guess it's one last opportunity to make amendments and changes. But yeah, I wasn't sure, looking at other people's meeting minutes and other commissions, how they, post and structure theirs versus ours. It's all, aligned. And I know in the past year it changed a little with the system, but I
So
did.
usually
Go ahead.
what happens is whatever changes that you make, they're noted on the next month's minutes before, they're noted when I do the minutes, like for next month, I'll put what what you amended this month for last month's meeting minutes.
Okay.
But the prior month document doesn't actually get updated.
No, that does not.
Oh.
That feels potentially confusing to members of the public who might be looking for a quote or something and not know that what they're doing is out of date. I'm not stating that as a problem to solve, merely to state it for the record.
Yep.
Okay. So if we move on, if there are any other notes or amendments on our meeting minutes, without the change, Eileen, should I vote to not accept them or
No, you would just approve them as amended.
okay? Okay. Any other commissioners with notes for the meeting minutes, or can I entertain a motion to approve them if everything else was good? Manny, thank you. Can I get a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor? Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next item here, old business, updates on the education subcommittee. Manny, I will leave that. Yeah.
So, I had a discussion with Emily, about just kind of the next steps for the education subcommittee. So I will be sending out an email, to set up, a future meeting, but I would like to discuss just, figuring out how to incorporate more of the new members in the education subcommittee and kind of go off of like, what some of the new members want to see and how they want to be incorporated into it. So I also want that to be part of the meeting as well. Yes.
Great.
How many current commissioners are on the education subcommittee, and what is the numerical limit of commissioners allowed to participate before we violate our quorum rules?
So far, it's me, Emily, and Jalea. Is Jalea technically not a commissioner though, right?
Julia,
So,
not a commissioner.
I have
Um,
expressed a desire to be on it, but not sure what the hoops are or impediments to making that official.
there's
Yeah.
no hoops. Honestly, it's honestly a subcommittee. So we set a date to meet. I have not set the date yet, and so that's something that I'm working on to set a date. The only thing is making sure it doesn't become a quorum, and so I guess probably one more person, right? If Emily, depending on how many people, if Emily decides to stay on as well, be a part of that, or it'll be one more person. But if, we can also discuss that the next time that we talk, and I can talk with you offline, Emily, about that. But that's a good question, Beck.
Yeah, now that we're 7, what's our cap? 3?
Yeah, anything more than 3, if we have 4 commissioners, it's considered a quorum. So Christina, Elizabeth, and I know they both expressed interest in joining with Manny. So if that were the case, I would either sit out or we would have, maybe a, kind of a round robin opportunity to have different commissioners join as available. I think the other barrier for us is getting, a meeting date where everyone is available to get together. Manny, I know we threw some dates out there and I apologize, I didn't follow up. I think we were aiming for this Friday at 10:30. And initially we were reaching out to our other members like Jalea from the health department and the public school systems, Joanna, excuse me. But if we are able to get at least 2 commissioners involved, so Christina, Elizabeth, if you both are available and can coordinate with Manny, an opportunity to, get a foot in the door and things rolling, that would be great. And I'd be happy to just, receive notes after.
Sounds good.
Sorry, and just to clarify, there is a meeting on Friday, or there is a meeting that will be scheduled in the future?
There's a meeting that will be scheduled. We have not scheduled the meeting yet.
Got it.
Perfect. But Becca, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you expressing interest in joining this subcommittee, or wanting to learn more about it, or just concerned about the limitation on how many commissioners?
No, thank you on the subcommittee. I'm just asking the clarifying questions, since at this moment this is our only subcommittee, so there's not really anything to weigh it against.
Okay.
So it sound like the number is 3, which is also, after that it gets hard to schedule people. So that feels great.
Yep. Okay. Great. Anything else or any questions around the educational subcommittee or anything else, Manny? I guess we'll look forward to our next meeting. Okay. Great. Then the next item I have on here was something I mentioned briefly in our last meeting, and I've talked to a few of you about ideas for our strategic plan for 2026. So I will pull up here in a second our link to our document. I know some of these, oh no. Well, I thought I could. One moment. Here we go. Can everyone see this okay? Great. So this was for this year's strategic plan, and ideally, as a commission, we report to the Common Council at the end of each year, our accomplishments, our goals, and especially this year with the transition of our mayor. I think it's important for us to report on these things. I don't know if it's feasible for us to do it this December, but there's an opportunity for us to do it in January, I think. So one of our big feats this year was to get a new league certified instructor, partially because it will help our league certification improvement, and part of that working our way up to bronze opportunity. Safe cycling courses was the other one that we were working on with Christine before she resigned from her seat this year on our commission. Jalea, I'm happy to share, has been involved with Chaz and making some of those happen. We did host a intro to cycling seminar with CT State College this year. We did an indoor version and an outdoor version, and had cyclists. I think Christina was in attendance on one of those, which was really great to see. And then we had one outdoors with family and university students, and offered it to students for free. So I know the goal was to keep this ongoing and have 2 sessions, one in June and October. I know the other one that we were able to collaborate with was Chaz from the Sound Cyclist group, bicycle group, and he is also a league certified instructor. And we kind of helped him in promoting and sharing his event online. And he had a recorded webinar that we can hopefully, with his permission, use bits and pieces of in online educational safety, especially as that one had a piece about e-bike safety and instructions as well. But just for reference and where this goal sort of came from education wise, what are commissioners' thoughts on using these goals for the coming 2026 year? Are there any ideas, comments, or amendments that we want to make in these goals, or I'll kind of leave it to our group to decide if this is something that we want to continue pursuing and collaborating on, especially now that we have Jalea with the health department able to contribute to running these sort of sessions.
Yeah, I think there's still 2 good goals actually to have. So I'd say it'd be great to continue them.
So we want
I
to
think
add
this- oh,
another
sorry, go ahead.
instructor, or in addition to Jalea? I'm confused.
We could, the second goal being certifying another league instructor. The challenge here is that it is like a weekend long course. You need a prior instructor hours. There's a payment associated with it. I think it costs about $500. So if we wanted to continue our building our application for our bronze status as a city, it is to our benefit to continue training league certified instructors. I don't know if there's another opportunity if we had a commissioner interested in doing it now that we no longer have Christine, or if there's another entity, maybe with the public school system or a bike shop that would be interested in earning that certification so that we can continue working with not only the city, but, local schools and businesses in, creating opportunities for more bike safety courses around either the community college, the elementary schools, the high schools, that sort of thing. So it may be another good goal to find another suitable candidate to earn a league certified instructor certification.
I think
But where we earned
okay.
one, I felt like we kind of lost one. Not that we lost Christine. Thankfully she's still around and, willing to help as needed, but she's just not on our commission anymore. But Manny, go ahead.
No, yeah, I think it is a good goal, especially given that we have new commissioners and that, I think being able to build upon that with like the bronze certification. I know, I guess the only question I have is when we develop the new budget, is this something we can incorporate in the budget for, having those $500 and being able to or give some, or maybe pay half of it, or maybe pay the full thing for the person that wants to be certified.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point too. Go ahead, Brian. I see your hands raised.
Thank you. So I would be interested in potentially getting certified just from having a background of outdoor cycling, and currently still teaching indoor spin. My outdoor cycling has been on pause just because of health reasons. So overall, it would be something that I would be interested in getting certified if nobody else wants to step up.
Thank you, Brian. That would be great to have someone on our team with a lead, instructor. And it's, the opportunity we came into this year with Christine having that certification, and finding that Chaz was willing to contribute as well. She could train Jalea for the first half of the certification. So we were able to do that with Christine one afternoon in the city hall parking lot. So if we can find a way to have, Jalea work with you on that first part, and then I know there's a certain time of year they'll host it in New Haven for the second part, and it's like a weekend long training. I think it's around $500. But well, thank you for volunteering. That would be great to have someone on our team with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Any other thoughts on the education piece? I know the other piece to this, so another league certified instructor, continuing to build that, those Norwalk residents with that certification to be able to teach courses. The other piece being, teaching the courses, hosting a safe cycling course. Is that something? I know who did I primarily worked with Chaz and Jalea. Christine, I know you attended one at CT State. Do you have any thoughts on, oh, Manny, you were there too. Excuse me. Any thoughts on that kind of event, how we can improve it, if there's a different direction we want to go, if we want to maybe aim for more elementary school safe cycling courses? It was tough with the students. I think, Manny, you and I talked a little bit about that. And that, was that you with the tabling where we were trying to, who was that?
No, I wasn't at the community college event. So that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah.
That is, yeah. Okay. I guess that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, as someone that attended one of those pre-commissionership, I thought it was fantastic. It was, doing it at the school was a way to kind of rope in people that otherwise might not hear about this sort of thing. And incorporating other age groups, I think, would be amazing as well. So my one complaint was going to be that we didn't actually get out on the road, but I guess or not on the road, but even in the parking lot. But I guess my understanding is that you guys did one of those after the kind of lecture version of it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah,
Yes. Otherwise,
yeah.
it would have been a day-long experience with how Chaz broke it down. But yeah, I agree. I think the second part to that was much more engaging. It was exactly that. You got on the road and you did these like obstacle course things, and it was a lot more engaging. And there was a kid there that was having a lot of fun when in that.
Yeah, I
So,
can
yeah.
totally imagine that. So definitely want to be a part of those going forward. I mean, even the lecture portion of it was really informative. Chaz himself is not only incredibly knowledgeable, but engaging and entertaining and funny. And he wasn't treating any of us, uh, like we didn't know, what the difference between the front and the back of the bike was. I thought he was really great. So yeah, definitely putting my weight behind doing more of these.
Um, I wonder, is there any need or desire for like a Spanish speaking safe cycling course? I don't know how feasible that would be, but it just bubbles to mind.
I mean, that would be ideal to have, yeah, a bilingual opportunity to be able to host not only in English but also in Spanish. I know one thing Manny, you, me, and Christine were talking about and I'm sorry, I'm getting my people mixed up a little bit, but we were talking about doing something with filling in the blanks. What was that called? The roundup, I
Yeah.
want to call it.
Hmm.
No, not yeah, the
Bike rodeo light.
ro bike rodeo. Thank you. The bike rodeo. That would be, and especially having it in available to Spanish speaking kids or individuals, like it would be to our advantage to be able to host something like that. I don't know if Julia or Christine, maybe they do speak a little Spanish, maybe Chaz does too. Um, but Elizabeth, are you by any chance able
I
to?
am not, but no, I am a little useless on that front. Just so it's just a thought.
No, I
It's
think
good
I
one.
think it's a great idea. I know Becca speaks Spanish as well. Um, I think it's a great idea. I know, and I honestly would love to make that a goal for the 2026 year because we explored the idea to do something like a bike rodeo or something for the community at fill in the blanks, but I think the vision I had just wasn't the right fit for the actual fill in the blanks event. So maybe there's a different way to go about it to where maybe we don't have to do it on a day that fill in the blanks is having their event on a Saturday morning. Maybe we can use fill in the blanks for like advertising the event, and it could be maybe at the local church there, or it can be in some other community space and so maybe these are things that we can explore more either in the subcommittee or just like for the 2026 year. But yeah, I think it'd be great to open that up for people for Spanish speaking individuals.
We should really try to partner with REI on this sort of thing, like the REI in Norwalk. I know they host, each season, all, different months and whatnot, they host bike repair workshops and stuff like this. And in terms of having someone that knows what they're talking about and potentially even Spanish speaking, we should lean on REI, on Cannondale, even though that's, technically in Wilton. I'm sure they'd still love to help out on that sort of thing. I have a connect at Cannondale that I can reach out to as well.
That would be great. I know, yeah, the other thing that would also benefit us is working with the bike shops, either locally here in Norwalk or in our surrounding towns, to promote and encourage more residents in Norwalk or even surrounding towns to get involved, especially, parents concerned about children on the roads where it applies to safe routes to school and that piece there. So that would be great if we can build partnerships with REI, Cannondale. I know Smart Cycles, Alex at Smart Cycles has been really supportive of our efforts and either handing out bike lights and supplies or just working with us on safe riding in the area. So that's a really great idea. Thank you.
Norwalk Community Health Center might also be a good resource to connect with too, or to partner with, since they do a lot of health education and things like that. And I think are the largest free clinic in this city.
That's
And I think are also right near REI.
perfect. Oh, I know exactly where you're talking about. I think I've
Yeah.
passed by there a few times. Yes. Okay, great.
Christina,
Perfect.
we have attempted to send commissioners to the REI classes. The scheduling just hasn't worked out yet, but I'm really glad you're circling back to it, because one of the other skills we want to add to this commission, in addition to someone who can teach a certified class, is more people who can fix bikes. And for that, I have been attempting to volunteer myself when we get the timing to work out.
Yeah, awesome. If you want to attend one of those classes together, let's do it. We get
Let's do it.
the member discount.
Perfect. So I will formalize this, but any other additions, subtractions, or pieces for the education section of our strategic goals for 2026? Okay. Communication and outreach. So this is another piece that I don't know if we have done exactly this, but I'm happy to report that we have gotten a lot more subscribers on our email that we send out, which is mostly reminders of our meetings. It's for certain events. We reshare content from the city, from the Visit Norwalk channel, and other pieces surrounding educational information around safe cycling and walking best practices, like Watch from ECT, or other accounts in that sort of realm. So I know we're close to 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're close to 500 on Facebook. And then I think we have around 500 subscribers to our email newsletter, which I don't even really want to call it a newsletter because it's really just a meeting reminder right now. But even that, managing that sort of piece has been more of a I don't want to call it bi-weekly. I know that was kind of our goal, was to have bi-weekly content being shared. It turned into maybe once or twice a month. So I know I spoke to a few commissioners about their, or kind of gauging interest in helping with this content, and especially around social media or email. Elizabeth, I think you mentioned being interested in joining this venture. Oh, actually, before I dive into this, then I do want to have kind of what we had last year. We set out owners for these goals. Before I move on to the communication for this goal for our LCI and educational piece, can I suggest that, Brian, since you're interested, can I make you an owner for this? Is that okay with you? If you're there.
Sorry, I was unmuting myself. I apologize. Yes, that's okay.
Perfect. And then is there Christina? I know you, or Christina and Elizabeth, you mentioned maybe interest in helping build partnerships and hopefully maybe helping organize the safe cycling courses. Is it okay to put you both down as additional owners here?
Yeah, that would be fine with me.
Okay. Christina, is that okay with you too? And we can always go back and change it if not. Nothing's set into, so we won't vote on this today. I'll have it prepared for next meeting and we can talk individually about it. But going back to this one, so our 2020 updates for 2026. Manny, I don't know how you felt about the social posting, and I know, part of our goal here is to make sure we're aligned and posting like equally English and Spanish. I know that was another goal, was to translate all of our posts into, Spanish content so it's bilingual. I know when I'm posting, I'm not always able to do that. Uh, if there was maybe an amendment to the goal or an opportunity to have some sort of process in place to make sure we're doing that. I know when the city shares content, most of the time it is in English and Spanish. So I know, there's that content there, but coming like original content from the Bike Walk Commission, it doesn't always get translated into Spanish without a Spanish speaker. So I don't know if there's any um, improvements that you can recommend, or a way that we can, make that more, that improve that cadence of having that. Or I'm just curious on your thoughts on that way. Oh, Julia, I see you there. Thank you for joining. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. So when the health department posts in Spanish, we do have Spanish speaking staff. So if there's any posts that we want to translate, I'm happy to send it to my colleagues to look over it before we put it out there.
Okay,
Because we have multiple staff members, so it's not really a big deal.
that would be great, actually. Thank you, Julia. Okay, so that would, yeah, alleviate that. And then I know the other kind of circle that we get into is, Greg, I know sometimes before we post, we want just input from TMP on the information that we're posting. Like, for
Mhm.
example, around the roundabouts piece, is there a point of contact, aside from you, or if it's something that you could help us approve or find a kind of approval process for that? What's the best way to get that done too?
Yeah, no, you could send it to me, and this way I can distribute as needed if I don't have the ability to review it and get it back to you in a timely manner. But you could send it to me, and I'll disperse as needed.
Okay, great. And then Becca, go ahead.
I feel like there's also something to be said that we just maybe didn't get into a workflow, because like if you were to send me, posts or videos, I would absolutely be willing to take a first stab at either dubbing them over or captioning them, that somebody who, has a more formal education in Spanish could then review, because like I speak fluently, but because I grew up speaking. So I might be more colloquial than grammatically correct, but like if you send it, I'll take a stab at it.
Great.
Right? Because I don't want to overburden Julia's awesome squad, but if they wanted to, review things, I just feel like, nothing came across my plate for me to be like, oh, let me, redo this transcript for you in Spanish, or let me, overdub it.
Right.
Because also
Okay.
because I myself am not on social media, so you'd have to send it to me previs.
I think that's one of the
Right.
challenges for me too is I stopped being on social media, at least being on Instagram since like the summertime. And so yeah, like I mean I'd be more than I think I completely overlooked the bilingual piece, honestly, and I think we're developing a good workflow for that will actually be helpful for the new year. But I think for me, one of the challenges is I stopped being on social media, and so I completely just lost connection with like what's being posted and even like providing feedback if anything was posted in Spanish and that sort of thing. And then I know I was posting for a while, but I don't think I was even posting in Spanish, and so like I think maybe honing in like the a good workflow with like the translation piece and that sort of thing. I mean, yeah, I think for me my challenge is like not being on social media anymore. How to like be an asset to that, right? Without adding an extra step or making it more complicated. So
I
maybe
think
that's
I think
go
we've
ahead.
answered that though, haven't we, Manny? Is that like, because Emily, are you the sole person logged in to our official socials right now?
Jalea is too, I think, right? No?
I only have access to Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if
And I
either of you, obviously if Julia, if you're doing health department posts, then you've got your own team. But Emily, I think just anytime you want to post something, I think Manny, don't tell me if I'm speaking for you out of turn, Manny, but it sounds like you can throw your draft at either or both of us, and one of us will give it a quick and dirty flip around for you.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean
Why
and
rest of
Julia,
you on
maybe
social?
maybe I didn't set you up. The way we were trying to do it too, and to your point, Becca, to alleviate it from being completely dependent on posting on Instagram by being logged in, we connected Facebook and Instagram to Meta. So if you post on Meta, it can go to both accounts. But Julia, I don't know if I gave you the proper access to be able to do that.
See, I don't even know what that
So
means.
Yeah,
so
Emily,
I wonder if, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think you'd have to give me permission to do that. But we
Okay.
can talk
So,
offline about connecting, and I think it would be
mhm,
helpful to schedule, like have some type of schedule for posts, because I know like Watch for Me CT, we repost a lot of educational stuff, but I think
mhm.
maybe set goals like to cover certain topics would be helpful. So it's kind of not just as sporadic.
Yes, I completely agree. And I would love to have like a more in-depth conversation about like month to month what kind of topics we should focus on, especially taking into account there's, bike to work week and month and
Mhm.
pedestrian safety day and those sorts of things. So having a calendar of events and having goals for topics, I would love to dive more into that and having that more strategic and so that we can track better on that publication piece and have that workflow in place. Yes, please.
That would be great. And then like if we're going to, I know it was a discussion before about the subcommittee, the education subcommittee, but that would be like the perfect thing to talk about during those meetings, scheduling
Perfect.
the things out for the month.
Okay.
This is a little separate from education, though, isn't it? Like, I was almost thinking, like, I kind of smell outreach subcommittee forming itself, right? Because outreach isn't necessarily only education, right? Like, I'm not on education subcommittee, but I am totally willing to help, translate things, like translating something that says, there's a new bike lane on this road, doesn't necessarily
Right.
fall under education, in my opinion.
Right. No, and that's something whenever Julia posts Norwalk Health Department pieces, I try and either like or reshare on Facebook and on Instagram. But, it is sporadic in the sense that it's only when I have the time to log in and do it. So I would love to have some more strategy there. And then not only that, having unique bike walk posts go through and shared, but also building, those partnerships. Like I think recently to the Norwalk Dogs group reached out and they were like, hey, we're having this event, but we want to incorporate more walkers and bikers, or, the NICE Festival, or this year we did the Sono Saturday Marketplace and offered bike ballet as we could. So we helped promote that and then shared those to our networks. So however we can continue that cadence and involve more, pedestrian cyclist conversations around those events, these local events happening, that would be, yeah, great to continue doing that, but then have also the educational piece. So it's like, it is kind of like what you're saying, Becca, there is like an outreach kind of subcommittee forming. I don't know if we want to make that formal for next year or just have this kind of goal for 2026 to start out and see how that forms. But to your point too, the only social networks that we're really on right now is Facebook and Instagram. I know I still have to talk to um, Tanner Thompson about our website URLs because I think he still owns those. And I did have a really great conversation with Elizabeth about ways to further build our kind of identity online and make it more accessible to people who may not be on social media. So having that newsletter more formalized, and then maybe even a landing page so that we can have, that structure accessible to people who may not be on Facebook or Instagram. So just food for thought for next year. I don't know if we want to add that to the goal, but it might be nice to go in that direction. The other thing we do have is the webpage on the health department where we have a list of, those resources and guides and more information. So if we can find a way to I guess, umbrella all that information into the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission landing page, that would be nice to have as well. Elizabeth, yeah, can I put us as owners on this? And maybe it is a kind of conversation between, Jalea, Elizabeth, Becca, myself, and whoever else would be interested in spearheading this outreach and communications.
Yeah, I'm happy to. This is what I do a lot for in my job. So creating content
Perfect.
calendar, all of that. I was gonna say, I think it would be really nice for the commission to have a dedicated website, nothing like fancy, and there are very free or very affordable ways to create a nice looking website. That can, because I feel like a lot of our information is sort of dispersed, and I think we can also do a little bit of education to the public about what the purpose of the commission is. And yeah, and probably offer some resources in our events and things like that all in one place.
Agree. Even if all it has is a YouTube video with how to change a flat.
Yeah, I think it could have great resources, and yeah, I feel like we can walk like take baby steps and build a landing page, build educate, kind of build it out as we go, but just getting a nice place. And I think too, I feel like, Emily, we were looking at our health department page and realizing that maybe some things needed to be updated, so just kind of doing a little cleanup would be great.
Perfect. Okay, great. Any other thoughts on the communication and outreach section of our strategic plan for 2026? Okay, moving
Oh.
along. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna add one thing on the email side of things is I think we were talking about how like the email I was still looking into like the free email or free or very, very cheap of email platforms we could use instead of the sort of BCC system that we're using now. So we could maybe make sending emails a little easier, and you can schedule things ahead and stuff like that. And just have all of our contacts in one place, clean up, the people who, if there are any emails in there that aren't active. So
That would be great too.
that's
I
all in
know
line with this but yeah.
Yep. I know we recently reached the limitation where you can't send more than 500 emails through Gmail. And I think with the way we were doing it in the past and present, we're about at that capacity. So that this is a great opportunity to look into that opportunity to, have a more formal system assisting us with our communications. So thank you for doing that. Great. Okay. So next here, infrastructure and accessibility. We do have updates on this around this pedestrian and bikeway transportation plan. Becca, I know, I don't know if it's on our agenda for today, but I know we have an update to share on that. And then we do have quarterly meetings with CMP. Greg, I apologize. I think I dropped off on that communication for December. I know it was the holidays and things got around, but we did have a meeting earlier this year. I know quarterly is what we were trying to stick to. I think it ended up being twice. Did we meet twice maybe this year? But I know it's been busy. It's a good goal to have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'd say I think we met once, but yeah, I mean, if you're able to just let us know because we were fastly approaching the end of the year. So just let us know what time works, and just remember only 3 commissioners can be in attendance.
Mhm.
Or else we got to have then after that, if there's 4, then that means we have to have a public meeting. So
Right. I guess kind of on that note here, at our last meeting, I believe Becca, myself, and Tanner were in attendance. Is that right, Becca?
Yes.
Yes. And then, so for this one, we are trying to meet in December. I know you sent us some dates already. I won't try and get it on everyone's calendar right now, but if there are any commissioners interested that would like to attend the meeting with TMP to hear about all the projects going on and get updates, this is the opportunity to do that. Are there any commissioners interested in joining that meeting for this year or the last meeting for this year with TMP?
Me.
Okay, perfect, Christina.
I will stick on this as well.
Hey, Em.
Becca. Oh, yes. Oh, hi, Jim.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry to interrupt and sorry to join late. It's just it's budget season for us, so it's a little crazy these days. Um, but I did want to. It's ironic that I jumped on at the point in time that you're talking about the quarterly meeting when I wanted to talk about the quarterly meeting. And really, I would hope that when we, one, I wanted to talk about getting on there, but really talking in large part, I think, how we take on a greater role in education, right? I think we have a number of projects in play that will make roads safer over time, but we're not going to get there right away. And in light of the recent tragedies that have plagued us, I think that we need to look at a comprehensive. And I did reach out to Emily Watkins from Watch for Me CT. And asked to have a brief meeting with her to talk about how maybe we could work together with her on education campaign. So I would just love to be when we meet in December that we meet with like an agenda of really talking about an education campaign because I think that is some of the things that we could set in place. And I think that the education campaign is I think it's multifold. I think that we have to look at impaired drivers. We have to look at distracted drivers, right? I think we have to look at what's everyone's rules of the road as we share this thing. But I think that if we could look at combating some of the education while simultaneously working towards infrastructure improvements that'll bring safety. I think where we have seen really great success is coming out of sidewalks or giving people an opportunity to have mobility, and it's the first part out there. I think that we have a lot of things to do in a lot of different realms, and that there's not one thing that is there to fix it. And I don't think an education campaign alone will fix it, but I do think that there are awareness modes that we need to look at to help bring safe roads. It's just every single time there's a crash, we take it personally. We have a data analyst so that we can start to look at how we can get these. When we write grants, we really look at a focus of improving safety. We look at after results. Are we achieving the results that we wanted to do? But I think we need to look more comprehensively, and I'd love to find some way to get mobilize the individuals that are concerned and want to be involved in terms of the tragedies that we've been struck in our community. And I think it would be a great honor to those that have either succumbed or living with injuries as a result of these. But I think we also need to understand I think we all play a part, but at the end of the day, a body can't withstand 3,500 tons of steel coming at it, right? So I think we need to part of a larger education campaign comes the responsibility of what happens when you're behind the wheel. So that was really just what I wanted to get in on. It's been on our mind a lot lately as we talk about ways to combat these things. But I think we do need to start talking about them in much larger numbers and where everyone can listen and where we find a million different approaches to try to get the word out. But so that was my big thing is like when we meet in December, can we talk about that, right? And then I wanted to the people who would come, I would hope that we could get the engaged portion of it. And then I do think that from that would lead to more conversations, within the entirety of the commission to move us in forward. And I think might even be where we look to take someone on in a consulting role to help assist and guide and give us direction into that. That was it.
Thank you,
That was my
Jim. Yeah.
soapbox talk. I'm sorry.
No, no, thank you so much for saying that and joining us tonight. So absolutely, we can make that part of our conversation here. And I don't know if you were here earlier. We did start with the education piece here. So we do have, some interest in more safe cycling classes, but to your point, expanding on that beyond cycling, and walking at night, but driving, making sure that drivers know how to use the infrastructure going in place. I think that's a really good point. And
Mhm.
then measures against distracted driving. I know in the past, and I think we tried to reach out to him again this year. We had that gentleman, Ben Granis, I want to say is his name or something, and he did a whole Eyes Up campaign for safe driving around cycling after a really tragic loss in his community. So if we can, like you said, find either maybe a speaker or a program or some sort of support in that area, I think that's a great idea. So
Yeah, I do think, coming at it in a multi-phased approach, getting, information available when you table and having that, but also, like there's a value in having a speaker come through and allowing us to engage in conversation, getting in the community as a whole. I think that we have a lot of opportunities here, and I think I'd love to do honor to to individuals who've been, part of this, and find a way that my goal has always been to create a Vision Zero. We've made steps to get there. The first step was getting the city to adopt a complete streets legislation and design manual. And I think the next portion that we want to go after is a Vision Zero program. Excuse me, we did take the first step of that, and we were awarded a Safe Streets for All, the Safe Streets for All grant that we got. We are going out for RFP shortly in that one, but that will gather data that will be the background and the baseline for a Vision Zero plan. But I think that's ultimately our desire. And as we move forward, even with a new administration, that we have zero deaths on city streets, right?
absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Okay, and I'm glad I have you here for this next piece here. So in terms of our quarterly meeting with TMP, Christina, Becca, I'll reach out to you with the dates that Greg provided. We'll find a time that we can, go and meet with the team, and we'll discuss that. Not only the project updates and infrastructure improvements, but how we can further support that education campaign, excuse me. And then Jim, I know you said you reached out to Amy Watkins with Watch for Me CT. I think in the past we've done the same. We invited her to join our educational subcommittee. So I'm hoping, we'll continue to build on that partnership and use, our collaborative resources to continue to spread awareness around this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other commissioners or Jim, any comments on our goals for infrastructure and accessibility in this section here? I know this year we were really focused on, meeting with your team, for improving communication between the projects and the public, spreading again that just awareness and accessibility piece, educating the public on how this infrastructure will affect their lives in the best possible ways. And then the other piece too was review, promote, and update the Norwalk Bike Walk, or excuse me, Norwalk Pedestrian and Bikeway Transportation Plan. Any thoughts
Yeah.
or comments on those?
So I would love to get an update to the plan, right? I think that, one of the things I was talking with Westcog, and they told me that very shortly there will be a corridor study application coming out, and the corridor study is primarily a funder that would fund the bike and ped plan. I think as soon as that comes out, we will apply. Having an updated plan, I think, is pretty important and some goals for us to work with. I don't know if Greg has shared with the commission. If not, I'd ask that we do this. So in December, shortly, uh, Greg, you might even have the data on top of your head. I can't remember it through lack of sleep, I think it is. But we have the final Route One corridor study coming out.
Yes.
Uh,
So that's on, yeah, it's on December 8th.
Okay, so
2 weeks from
December
tonight.
8th, it's a virtual meeting, so we would really love it if you guys could sign on board and see, what has been the culmination of the community meetings that have taken place over the past, I think, 18 months or so for this to come into fruition and see the plans coming into place for Route One. I think one of the things that are really coming out of that and what we heard in large numbers um, is the sidewalk gaps that exist on Route One, in particular, the one by Rampart, by Chick-fil-A on the opposite of Chick-fil-A, where the sidewalks come down and they just disappear. We were able to secure grant funding for a pedestrian bridge that's going to go over the river. We weren't able to extend the existing bridge, but the pedestrian bridge so we are actually in design of that even, before the plan is released. I think if for any of us that travel on Route One, I don't know there's a time that I've been on there where I haven't seen someone trying to navigate that as the sidewalk just comes down, and terrifying when you see someone with a carriage trying to get down there, or a baby carriage through there. So very excited to move forward with that one. That bridge will be in place in 2026. Um, so I think that is one of the first things that are coming into play to bring out of that. I think we have an interesting plan, as it relates to public transportation along the corridor, improving, safety in all modes, and improving, crossings. If you could attend on the 8th, Greg, if you could send out the list, we do ask people to sign up, and you'll get a link for that day. For that evening, it's Greg, 5:30?
So it is from 6:30 to 8.
6:30 to 8. Okay.
I'm happy to share. We did receive the invitation from Kristen Floberg, and I did share it with the commissioners, that registration link, and it should be on everyone's calendar. I will absolutely be there. Thank you so much, Greg and Jim. And then, like Jim was saying, and Greg, if there are any other commissioners able to join and give comment and be a part of the conversation, that would be fantastic. So thank you. Yeah.
Confirming, if you subscribe to the Google Calendar Norwalk Bike Walk events, it is on there.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and like Jim and Greg were saying, though, the link in there is a registration link, so you will need to individually register. So that events team registration link in there, you need to click and submit, your own information to be able to join the meeting on December 8th from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
The title of the event now says, register using link below.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Becca. Great. So then with that, I guess while I have you here, Jim, any other anticipated meetings, or is that kind of the last one for the year in terms of project updates and public communication around that?
I think that might be the last one that we wrap up 2025 with. I think we are looking at a work plan for 2026 to move some of the projects. I think some of the projects that we have are getting paused because of the weather. In particular, tomorrow we're pausing. The sidewalks that are coming on West Rocks will start to come to a pause in about 2 weeks, and because asphalt plants close and we can't get any more equipment and it gets too cold to settle. But that will rest assured that's only as soon as it warms up in March, April, the teams will be back to wrap it up. They've been making tremendous headway. We wrapped up just in advance of this storm sidewalks on Adams and Ward. And I think we have a lots of application for improvements that go down Ward. That will hopefully that will be a community meeting that if we can get this awarded. Fingers crossed, that would be one that we advance. I think we are looking at trying to get a few other projects funded and secured as most of already. I think we've had this conversation for us. What we get for a budget, while it seems like a lot, is relatively small, and we ask for design money and then we get grant money. So we're trying to always marry like what's a good recipient, what's a good project for what they're looking to accomplish, the grant funders, that is. So I think we'll have some more of those public meetings coming in. I know that we want to have a public meeting for an update for Wall Street. The continuation, of that. You're really like multi-year project to get it. And I think what we also want to get off, kick off in 2026 is a public meeting for East Avenue, right? We won some planning funding for that, so we want to advance that, and then we also want to have the next community meeting to further advance the plans for Seaview Avenue, and then we are putting in for a trail grant planning project for the NRBT, which would be on Calf Pasture Beach Road, and would encompass a lane reduction, lane diet to have in an off-road multi-use trail that runs the entirety down into the beach, into the trail system that goes into the beach, into the terminus or the beginning of the NRVT, depending on where you want to go. So that will hopefully will come into play, and that'll be a 26 project as well.
Great news. Thank you, Jim. Any other commissioners with thoughts or comments on this piece for our strategic plan in 2026? Or Greg, I don't know if you have any input as well on, kind of our goals in alignment with TMP. I know one other piece I mentioned to you in passing was building on a relationship with the Department of Public Works as well, making sure there's some sort of connection between our commission and their group for maybe a point of contact. I don't know if that would involve a quarterly meeting, but maybe just some sort of like email communication just to loop in the project updates that we're talking about with TMP and how the bike walk can contribute in those ways and ongoing projects.
Yeah, I mean, we meet with DPW with the staff bi-weekly, actually. So it's certainly something that we can bring up during our next meeting. And during our quarterly meeting, we can update you on, some of those findings and see how we can kind of streamline that communication, make sure they're communicating with the public just as we're trying to as well. So we can definitely talk about that during our next coordination meeting with DPW.
Great. Okay, moving right along here. The other goal we had for this year was to do bike ballet at 4 community events. I think with the Sono Saturday Marketplace, we surpassed this goal excitingly enough. I want to say we did at least. So we did at least 4 community events this year for Bike Valet. Um, I believe we also were able to do Pride in the Park. I don't know if we did Sono Arts Fest. I don't think we did. I know Oyster Festival is a bit of a overhaul, so we didn't do that either. The other ones that we had as possible events here is the Halloween Night Fair and the Wall Street Wonderland, which I think is coming up pretty soon. It is hard in the winter in the dark to offer this service, as well as, the time and capacity we have as volunteers to, set up a hall and get all this done. But I was pretty satisfied with the amount of bike valet users we had this year, especially at the Sono Saturday Marketplace events. Any other commissioners with comments on this? I know Nick and Manny, you guys were both critical to getting this done, and all the commissioners that volunteered their time to, collect and look after the bikes in these events. Any comments from you guys?
I'm excited to have the tent as incorporated into like the full year next year. I think that'll be really great to have our own tent out there, like on Earth Day, Pride of the Park, and the other events we participated in.
I got a quick question. Was there, oh, I'm sorry, Manny, to cut you off. You
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I just wondered, were there impediments to having bike valet at the Sono Arts Festival, or was that just like scheduling conflicts? We didn't have a commissioner available because, I was there and the need was pretty great. So if like, I'm just wondering if it's, if they're allowing that, or if, just now that we have a full commission, there'll be more opportunities for us to do bike valet.
I would say I think it was the availability of our commissioners, especially, yeah, with the other events going on. But
Okay, all
also,
right.
yeah, organizing and transporting the racks was just kind of another barrier for us. Um,
Okay. Well, definitely now that we have a full commission, that should be a little bit easier. So I certainly look forward to participating in that because I do think that those are great opportunities for outreach as well. You're providing an amenity, but you can also provide the education of like, hey, use this amenity next time.
mhm,
Um,
definitely.
I think I like the current. I mean, if we choose four that we want to like do our best to commit to, I think Earth Day, Pride, Sono Arts Festival, and the Sono Markets. I forgot what they're
Mhm.
called. Is it Summer Market or first Saturday? I forgot what
Just
that's called.
so no Saturday markets, yeah.
Sono Saturday Markets.
And should we just count that as one event? Because it feels sort of cheap to say like, oh, it's four Saturdays, and so we're doing 4 instances. Should the Sono Saturday markets just be one event that we commit to? Because I could.
No, I would argue the opposite. It was a haul to get everything there and back. And, there were some Saturdays that were busier than others. I would definitely
Okay.
consider it 4 separate events and not smush it into one. But you're right. As one entity, to your point, like it is, just one group of events. If we don't want to do all 4 Saturdays, I'd be open to that too. I think that was kind of a big time commitment or an availability issue at least. I know the last one we weren't able to complete, so that was kind of a challenge to be able to complete all 4 in that case. But um, I would say, kind of to your point, yeah, if we wanted to pick 4 like major events, even though it would be somewhere like 8 if we did all of the 4 Sono Saturday markets, we could do that too, like stick to 4. But I agree with what you were saying too, Christine. I think the Sono Arts Fest would be a really good opportunity to do that because they've been doing it for a while and they shut down the streets. It's a really nice open street event. And like you said, I've seen a lot of cyclists come and just walk their bikes through. It would be nice to have that opportunity to park them somewhere. And now that we have the big tent, hopefully we'll be more seen. But the one that I would definitely recommend removing from the list, at least for this year, 2026, is the Oyster Festival. We could talk to we do have a connection there with the Seaport Authority, maybe just suggesting to them, you do get all these cyclists and walkers coming to your event, having some sort of transportable rack to store bikes would be really beneficial to their event, or advise or connect them with the right people to do that. I don't know if we as a commission can commit to 2 days and all those bicycles, but
Yeah, that's just a huge event also.
Mhm. Other commissioners? Oh, Becca, go ahead.
I would like to suggest that instead of this goal being for community events, that instead just noticing the two big ones that I was part of this year, which were Earth Day and Pride in the Park, that I think we could at the very least provide bike valet at events at 4 different Norwalk locations, right? Earth Day's on the Green, Pride in the Park is at Vets Park, Sono Arts Fest and the Saturday Market are both at 50 Washington Street. And I would suggest that the 4th location be somewhere on Wall Street. If there's any sort of closed road event on Wall Street, that would be the thing to target. Because that also it reinforces the idea that you can bike everywhere in this town and that the bike facilities are going to be there for you. And also, just really quickly as a sidebar to Oyster Fest, while I agree, I think the bandwidth of staffing it is beyond this 7-person volunteer commission's capabilities. I do want us, because the response I got when I asked them just as a civilian, hey, can you post information about how to bike or take the bus to Oyster Fest? They were like, too little too late. Like, where were you in March? So like, I'm willing to like email them in March and be like, hey, these are the buses that run to Oyster Fest, like these are the bike racks as the current owner of the Norwalk bike racks map, like being like, here's where you can lock up your bike at Oyster Fest,
Right. I think
Even
that's a
if
great
it's
idea.
just outreach to push them, to push attendees to rethink how they get there, to rethink that last mile, to to get home safely.
Absolutely.
I agree 100%. With both of those things that you said, Becca. Like I was even just when I was writing down the days, I was looking at like where the location of all those events are, and I know Sono, does have a lot. They do a lot there. But I was actually thinking like, oh, is there something somewhere else that we can have a ballet event at to kind of spread it out throughout the community? So I agree.
We should
And especially
probably be trying to do something like Rowayton.
yeah. We could work with the Rowayton Civic Association too. I know they're having a bike crawl coming up actually for their holiday stroll. So that was another event that was put in front of me recently. But one thing you just reminded me of, and especially with everything going on in Wall Street, I really like your idea of the 4 different locations as it pertains to, getting all around Norwalk on a bike. There's the Wall Street Derby Day. They shut down a section. The restaurants have a thing, and
It's
it was a
much fun.
lively event. I worry about the drinking and biking thing, so I don't
There's
know if it's the
also
perfect fit.
Rebel Daughter Day, Emily, that you and I
Ooh,
tabled at. That is
yes.
typically in the end of May, and it gathers a lot of local women-owned businesses. And we could
Ooh,
revamp the women's ride as well.
I love that too. Okay, so we'll brainstorm, but I think either of those would be good, and I love the idea of having it around different locations in Norwalk. So if we can find a way to work with the Rowayton Civic Association on something as well in Rowayton, I think maybe like different locations in Norwalk this year, but limit it to maybe like 5 maximum. I don't want to overextend our opportunities. But definitely Earth Day. On that note, the steering committee is going to join for 2026. If there is a commissioner interested in joining the Earth Day steering committee, please let me know as soon as possible. The meeting is this Friday. Nice festival is great. Sono Arts Fest. I'm behind that too. Rebel Daughter Day or Wall Street Derby Day, and then Rowayton Civic Association, maybe a collaborative opportunity with them. But I know, Nick, I'm really grateful for you putting together. There was a PowerPoint on how to volunteer for the bike valet program, so we can work on eliciting more, volunteers to help us with these events, including transport setup and shifts if we do, all day events, things like that. but having at least one commissioner at the stand is the other kind of requirement we need for this. But I thought this year it went really well. I'm looking forward to, doing a similar kind of goal for 2026. Any other thoughts, Nick? Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a pretty good outline.
Okay. And then the other goal we had from Manny, Christine, and Tanner was the underrepresented community groups. Manny, you've gone above and beyond with filling in the blanks. I think we've done like, I want to say 5 or 6 of those, and they happen monthly this year. So you've engaged with way over 20 attendees and kind of working with that. So I don't know if you feel up to continuing
Yeah,
that. Yep.
definitely. I think I think even just different people groups, right? And I think even like so I don't know, that's something we can continue exploring, but I think just kind of connecting with a variety of different demographics and communities within the city, I think would be really awesome to continue that goal.
Great. For these goals, are there any other owners that would like to join for bike valet specifically and leading and taking on that charge, or in the community gatherings or group events for the underrepresented community?
Definitely put me on there for helping out with bike valet. I've got plenty of availability to staff those and find opportunities for that.
Great. I think the other group that you mentioned, Elizabeth, was the Norwalk Community Health Center. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to work with them in some way to continue sharing, information around education and safe cycling and walking, especially in the darker winter months.
Or even just like if there was something on their front desk calendar that said, you can request a free bike helmet, and they put people in touch with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could easily get that at every food pantry in town. Just, a thing like a brochure on the front that says you can request a free child-sized bike helmet.
Maybe even at Open Doors or the other.
Yeah, person to person is the one that I volunteered at.
Yep. Smilo, it's like where Open Doors is attached to. I think it also has like a family center.
Yeah, the Norwalk Public Schools has a family center too.
Have we done anything with the libraries either? Either the South Norwalk Library or the main one? Because there's just, our libraries are so great, and I feel like they are doing classes. They might already be doing bike related classes at the Norwalk Library.
In the past, we had the street project documentary. We had a screening in that top area at the South Norwalk Library. That was one of the first events that I remember when I was joining, we put together, which was a lot of fun. It was walkable for me, and people biked in. And then we had our previous commissioner, Sam Ebert, who was working for Cannondale at the time, bring a bunch of e-bikes from Cannondale to kind of walk people through it. And it was a really great event. And I think we even had a panel of speakers at the end. And it's been a while since we've done anything with the Norwalk Library, so I would really love to reinvigorate that connection there. And they're always happy to share any free events that we have. So we've posted, posters for events and other things like that on their community boards. And then if we send them English and Spanish social posts for events, they're happy to put it on their website and their social feeds. So they're great supporters of the work we're trying to accomplish and that connection to the community. So absolutely, I would love to continue to or pursue that connection.
I would like to add the Carver Center. I believe it's like an after school program. I think that's something that I was thinking about last year was how we can make a connection there in case we can either provide some kind of programming there too, or um, just have that connection there. You know, similarly to what Becca was talking about, I think that's a great idea. Like where, you know, if anybody needs any of our supplies, you know what I mean, we can figure out how to coordinate that.
That would be great. Yeah, we need like a spreadsheet with points of contact, I think, for each of these entities. I think that might be really good to have here.
I'm willing to
And it's
do that, figure that out somehow.
excellent. Thank you, Manny. Okay. Next on. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Just quickly, Manny, if you want to reach out to me directly, in regards to the Carver, I have definitely strong connections there.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
Perfect. Okay. And this section here is our walking and biking event. So we had 4 goals here. I guess I got ahead of myself and started writing this here. The other goals here, we had bike walk roll to school day with the public schools. I have to give credit to Jalea and Manny for this year's event. I think again with the shortage on time and um, help, we weren't able to well, I should speak for myself. I wasn't able to commit as much time as I would have liked to helping with this event, but it still got done, and I'm so grateful to Jalea, Joanna, Jill, Manny, for getting, the supplies to the students that were walking and biking to school those days, for organizing this. It's really great to see, this coming along and still going on. Jalea, I guess with that said, do you have any feedback on this goal? Is it something we want to try and continue to do in our 2026 goal? Manny, yeah, do you either of you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we should definitely continue this. Only feedback is I don't know exactly how we would do it, but just starting that connection with schools a little bit earlier because it seemed very rushed this year because schools were undecisive about if they were doing it or not.
Mhm.
But we should definitely keep it. It's a great collaboration and a good event and way for us to connect with the kids in Norwalk Public Schools.
Would we want to do May as well? Is another question I have. Or, you know, maybe that's something we can talk with our partners at the school district because I know there's challenges with both months. I know in October, right? Like they're kind of the schools are coming off of just starting the school year in the first month. Um, and August is crazy for them as well. And then I don't know, I forget what May is usually like for them. I know they have like there's a big event happening in the school district, the book fair. There's like a book event, right? What is it called? I don't remember what it's called, but I remember when we were doing the the Calf Pasture Beach event, there was conversations about this
Open streets.
the Open Streets event. I'm sorry. There was conversation
Oh,
about
yeah.
this other event that was a major event for the school district, and that was around May as well. And so I don't know. I agree with Julia. It'd be good to kind of get the ball rolling earlier this year and kind of gauge where the school districts are at with even figuring out how they decide like how they're going to participate and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think part of that too is gauging, to your point, the interest and the level of activity the schools want to, take on, or the level of, involvement, I guess, between the schools and the parents, or like there are like PTAs. But I think a big part of that, to Julia's point, is planning ahead and having some sort of line of communication clearly established, and the date. I know the other challenge this year was that it rained on the day that we were planning for one of the schools, so that was a bit of a challenge. Um, but that sounds good. I'm happy we want to continue doing this, and I think to your point too, Manny, maybe if we had 2 opportunities, a date in May and a date in October, we can kind of see what, yeah, the involvement with students wanting to bike during or walk or roll during May. And then the calendar conflicts too, because I know in October, around the dates that they have was also like the bus to school week, and there's just, yeah, there's all these other events going on at the schools. So the best way to, line it up um, between the schools and our availability and the health department's availability, we'll figure it out. But I think that would be great. Yeah, we can bring that to our educational subcommittee meeting as well.
Can I ask a question that I think is, and I'm just being honest about this question, and maybe because I just never fully like how like safe routes to school, like what are they the ones that put on the bike walk roll events, or like are they just the sponsor of the promotion of bike walk roll? Um, and how can maybe we utilize them in a way to like move the ship forward more with the school districts, if that makes sense.
Right. I know they're a group with the state, so it's a connection between the state and their program. I know they work with the schools in supplying information and guidance and, kind of handouts for the event, but the whole scheduling and planning really does rely on the school. I don't know the extent to which they like support. I know they support, but I don't
Right.
know if they, yeah,
They're not
kind of like
necessarily
what
pushing
we
the
did,
dial,
which was
right? Yeah.
exactly. I don't think they're tabling like we are at these events, or really like giving away. Well, to that point, actually, I did receive from Bridget the bookmarks for the kids. So I
Oh,
do
cool.
have those in my possession now. So I will bring those to the supply room when I get the chance. But they do, yeah, they're there for support, but we have to ask for it. So if we
Okay.
did want to do something, combined with them or have them involved in, a wolf pit bike walk roll to school day, it is something. I mean, they're based in Hartford, I want to say, so I don't know
Oh yeah.
if like
Okay.
it's something where they would come down in person or have volunteers, or but they're open to sending us supplies, resources, and making this more effective with guidance. So in those ways they are extraordinarily supportive. They came to that event that was at the South Norwalk School that just
Yeah.
opened and had a table. So, they are available for additional
Guidance
resources. Yeah,
resources.
they're like
Okay.
a toolbox of sorts. Yeah.
Cool. No, that's awesome. That's great to know. Because I think in my understanding, I thought like if I'm really honest, I wasn't sure if we were stepping toes on safe routes to school because this was like their baby of sorts, right? And so I didn't know what role they had. But that really helps me to understand that a little better.
Yeah, I don't really know if I see it as stepping on toes as much as just, supporting them in their efforts to, support the schools. It's definitely not something that we're working on the other side of. We're trying to help the Safe Routes to School program because it is, yeah, there's, grants and funding and a lot of support that they're providing based on this opportunity to do these sorts of events. But on that note too, actually, the with the bike walk roll to school day, building on the opportunity. I think I forget who I talked to about this, but the bike bus, there's been a few things online circulating about having a bike bus to school day. I don't know if it was specific to Wolf Pit or it was some parent that reached out asking if it was something that schools are doing. It again, it really depends on the area and the school. But if we wanted eventually to work towards a bike bus opportunity, I think the bike walk roll to school day is a great opportunity to try that. But it would take, yeah, more planning and working with the schools to make that happen.
I know Christina expressed interest in the bike bus idea last meeting.
Yes, absolutely. And if we're
Oh,
trying to aim for a bike roll walk to school in May, I feel like that would, in the warmer kind of springtime months,
Mhm.
and also as the school year is kind of at least approaching its end, it could be like a fun reprieve for kids.
mhm. Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
would
no,
be really fun
I
to
had brought
see.
that up with you, but now this meeting, I'm hearing, opportunities, I guess, to kind of align the bike bus with some of these other already established events. an initiative.
Yeah. I mean, if we get, the proper group of people and we have, safety precautions in place, I don't see why it couldn't happen one day, hopefully soon. I don't know for 2026, but we're getting there, right?
Well, I had a question like about stuff like that. So like as a bike walk commission, and maybe this is a conversation for like a different like agenda item maybe, but like um I know it gets a little tricky to host bike rides for us, right? Just given like a lot of the liability stuff. Would it be would it maybe be us figuring out how to empower community members and stakeholders to host a bike
Mm,
bus? Does that make sense versus like us hosting it?
absolutely. No, I
Would that
think
be the
that's the
goal
best
more?
word.
Okay.
Empower, advise, encourage, on safe biking in the area, and then kind of leaving it to, parents and schools to, and, follow through and complete it. But absolutely, I think that's a possibility. Okay, so bike walk, roll to school, looking ahead, planning ahead, working with the schools, looking at May and October for 2026. The last goal here was the bike to work week. So May is bike month, which is where this stemmed from. In the past, we've done, um, you know, uh, incentives for biking or walking to work. Um, I think one year we did it throughout the week. We went to different locations around Norwalk and handed out bike repair coupons and free breakfast and coffee, to biking commuters. I know in the past year, I think we just boiled it down to just Friday and handed out goods on Friday. Um, I don't know if we want to continue doing something like that with the other events here. We could kind of combine it, I guess, but the point being that May is bike month, and I think that ties into the bike walk roll to school event too. If May is bike month and we have bike to school day in May, that would be nice to kind of tie that in. But whether it's us, kind of to your point, Manny, hosting these events or encouraging other groups or, local businesses to encourage their employees to do it, I think if we can find a way to, have a greater reach without the requirements of us being at tables. Oh, was it we were at the South Norwalk train station this year, I think, and we met all those students commuting by
Correct.
bus. Yeah. So, I mean, I each year is a little different, and I'm so happy to see that. And I feel like we end up meeting so many different, sides of Norwalk through this event specifically. Any thoughts on how we want to continue this? If we're fine, kind of doing it. Oh, this year, Becca, you organized the whole thing with the Black by Demand, the coffee shop, and those coupons. Sorry, I'm like a little all over the place here. But how did you, yeah, and Manny and everyone else who was involved this year feel about that? Do we want to continue the same or make changes, or what do you think?
I think it's important to I think we learned a lot from this year. It was successful for engaging people certainly and giving things away and supporting local businesses by giving away $100 worth of vouchers to Black by Demand. I don't know that we specifically drove any additional bike traffic or got anyone out of cars. So maybe the thing to do this year as we plan is to really figure out like who are the movers and shakers to be working with, right? Should we be talking to local employers about, about spreading the word to their employees, like or getting them to provide lunch to all their workers who bike that day or
Mm-hmm.
right? How can we I'm not saying that we need to go stick, right? That we need to like, be like tagging businesses on Instagram, like, why don't you have bike racks? But I think we can redirect our carrot a little bit to actually try for a numerical increase in cyclists, in commuter cyclists that week and day. I mean, even if it's just stuff like, like putting up pictures of ourselves, right? I know that former Commissioner Tanner would cycle to his office at Google in New York from South Norwalk once a year on this day as part of Bike to Work Week, and I'm not saying everyone has to be that extreme, but I think we could be doing a little more to more directly support the words, which are like to work.
I like that. Okay.
You're making me think there, so I'm gonna put that in my brain and let it marinate a little.
Definitely, yeah. And the goal here is just to kind of write out what we're thinking. Nothing's approved yet. I'll get a more formal documentation, but then I'll send it to everyone so we can all leave comments, make changes individually, and then we'll come back in January with a more established plan. But that I really like what you said there, Becca. I think that's the right route to take. I agree. Okay, we're almost done here. Sorry, I know we're running a little over. Recognition. So I know this year we talked about potentially achieving bronze status. I know that didn't happen this year. We do need to update our application. It would take time with TMP. I would propose having the same goal for 2026 in the effort to get to bronze status for the city of Norwalk. What do people think about that?
I
Perfect.
agree. I think we have to keep at it. And
Mhm. Okay.
I think it's also a chance for us to potentially lean on the new city office of sustainability. I think there's someone who could be an ally and a resource for us in this, because I think any of the work that can be outsourced to non-TMP volunteers should be.
Mhm. Perfect. Great. And then accountability and reporting. I admittedly didn't quite stick to this either. And I know last year, Nick and I did meet with the mayor and Tom Livingston and kind of gave a report. I know we have a new mayor as of January, so I would propose maybe, starting off the year, and Greg, I would, ask your opinion on this, and Jim's as well. If we, get together our strategic plan, if we do present it to the Common Council, of what we achieved this year, what we're aiming to achieve in the coming year, and, kind of our benchmarks to measure our success in that. Does that sound like a good plan to have instead of having something in this month of December?
Yeah, that makes more sense because like you said, we'll have a new mayor and along with the new common council members as well. So it only makes sense to go in more prepared, give yourself more time to go in there with the new council.
Perfect. Great. Are there any commissioners passionate about being a part of this presentation to the Common Council?
I'm down to help.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So perfect. Thank you all for going through this with me on this call. I will formalize our 2026 strategic plans as we've discussed and send a document to everyone for comment. And then we will have an updated version for our next meeting. Any last thoughts before I move on to our next agenda item? Okay. New business. I think we did touch on this a little when Jim came on to join, but it's the Safety on Streets campaign for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. It kind of like what we talked about briefly for our educational subcommittee, and a priority on really working with the community, individuals, residents, and businesses and entities, to really continue our push for education, not only for the people on the road being pedestrians and cyclists, but also for motorists. So we'll continue to look for opportunities to either work with collaborators like Ben Granis and the Eyes Up campaign or other speakers, and we'll continue to work with Amy Watkins on who does the Watch From ECT educational information to continue to build on that circulation. The next item here, event planning 2026. I'm kind of happy to say we touched on that a little bit, but if there were any other events we want to accommodate in our upcoming strategic plan and event planning for 2026, definitely add those to the notes when I send out the document. The biggest one that I wanted to touch on too was the Earth Day planning. I did hear from Tracy Craighead, who asked if there were a commissioner or two interested in joining the steering committee for the Earth Day event. And what that responsibility would encompass is just meeting with the other leaders for the event and really working closely on the bike valet for the event and the bike rides and the walks. So each year there's I think they try and align it with the elements. So there's like 4 or 5 or 6 walks going on. And then last year we had a bike ride with the police department. And so it would be kind of planning that, working with the other leaders and connecting it with the event. If there's anyone from the commission that's interested in joining that, please raise your hand. Please let me know. You don't have to decide now, but if you are interested in learning more, they're going to start those meetings very soon. Okay. The last thing I have on here is our budget spend planning. So for 2025 and 2026, I haven't touched our budget. It is in the shared drive. I don't know if I will pull it up very quickly here. We have an updated inventory, and I know we have budget still to spend for this year. I think we have to update this because this was from last year. So I'm hoping to ask for a commissioner to help in managing this, and I would be working with you, Greg, on what we have available and what, expenses we have reoccurring. I know we have like a league membership. We pay Darlene for her minute taking, and thank you, Darlene. We couldn't do it without you. But if a commissioner would be interested in kind of taking ownership on this, I have not been able to do my due diligence here.
Can we spitball things that we think we should get with our budget, or we're just talking about handling the budget?
I think, yeah, both.
Okay.
I think this is where I don't know when I left off on managing the budget here. This is the best ability that I've had here. So August, I think, was the last time we touched it and voted on it. But for this year, we have a certain budget that we have to spend, and I don't know if we've discussed or spent any of it yet. So it needs to be created, organized, and then we need to come forward with the opportunities to spend it. So this is an example of what we've done in the past. We need something like this for our 2025-2026 year spend.
Okay, gotcha. I'll connect with you offline on that because I have some experience.
Perfect. Great. I guess on that note too, with our event coming up, I don't think we have anything immediate. Is there any budget requests or spend needed? I don't know if we have an inventory of helmets and locks and things in the garage, and I'm happy to talk to a commissioner who's interested in kind of organizing our inventory, or the access to the inventory is through Greg and the Norwalk Parking Authority, as it's generously being stored in the garage there. But for activities where we give away helmets or we give away lights or locks or things like that, this is the budget that we have to spend to do that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So then oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to advocate, this is totally tangential, but you know, at events. Manny, you and I were at the and Emily, you were there too, walking around at the Sono school orientation event, and the table next to us was like a soccer guy, and he had, you know, soccer balls and like cones and these nifty things, and I just remember how many kids were like running up to the table next to us because they had an activity. And I was just wondering, I'm happy to do more research into what the average cost for this sort of thing is, or if it can be cheaply done, of getting a couple of balance bikes. Because it could be as simple as like getting a used bike and just removing the pedals as well. But I feel like balance bikes are a great draw for kids to, you know, get on a bike, even if they don't necessarily know how to ride a bike. And setting up, you know, 5 or 6 cones at a tabling event, you know, I feel would get a lot more activity in terms of like child outreach and, you know, making it accessible for a kid. It's just a lower speeds and, you know, you're totally in control of the situation.
Absolutely. No, I love that idea. And I think when we did the open street event a couple of years ago, we had the bike rodeo, which was essentially they brought their own bikes and they did these obstacle courses. But alternatively to that, I know the Norwalk Department for Business and Tourism has a bunch of like yard games and giant checkers or Connect Four and very child oriented games that we've borrowed in the past for these sorts of events. So I think either whether we have our own or options, I think having some sort of engagement for kids, to your point, is a really good incentivizer to visit our booth and learn more and get that safety educational material in a fun way. So I don't know about buying balance bikes, but I would be curious to see, what other commissions are doing in that sense, or I don't know if that's a liability issue or things like that, but I would be happy to investigate more and see what we can do in that area.
I was even thinking like some tinkering things, right? Like, are there things that we can put out that kids would want to tinker with, like bike pedals or like tubes and air pumps? I don't know, stuff that is very practical in a sense, but I don't know. I
Like
would
a
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like a test your strength. You know how at some carnivals they have those things and you hammer them down to see how you could do it with a bike tube, pump up your
How fast?
friend's tires.
Who
Yeah,
can pump a
how long
bike
does it
as
take?
fast? Yeah, I don't know. They can win a prize. I don't.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. I think that's a great idea though. And I think, having maybe either our budget go to some, more child-oriented activities that have that is a great idea. So I'm happy to, yeah, I think maybe we can talk more about that in our educational subcommittee meeting or offline, but I think that's a great idea either way. Okay, so Christina, and thank you for volunteering. I will reach out to you about the budget, and Greg, I'll connect with you as well to make sure we have that, starting and kind of initiated, especially as we implement our 2026 strategic plan. We want to make sure we spend all our budget. And then if there are other grant opportunities that come up, we want to continue to pursue those as well. Or micro grant opportunities. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments on the budget?
Emily, real quick, I think just the biggest thing we have to, before we go after any additional micro grant, we still have, I forgot the total off the top of my head, but there is a few $100 on the existing micro grant that we still need to spend. So I can get you those figures, and we'll have to prioritize that because we won't be able to apply for another one until we spend the rest of that money.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you for the reminder. I thought we had spent it all. So yes, I will make sure we do that, and I'll get Christina up to speed. Okay. Great. Then with that, we're on to discussion. Any reports from TMP or the health department? Julia, you're here. Oh, I'm so sorry. Becca, go ahead.
I just have a really quick, easy budget one, which is Oh, actually, it's free. Last year, Tanner Thompson and I attended the NCAT New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation dinner. It's on Tuesday, December 9th. I unfortunately am now working that day, but if a delegate would like to go, I would be in favor of us using whatever budget spend is allowable to buy them some Metro North tickets to go to New Haven for that.
Oh, that's right. That is a really good event. I will send it to our group after this call. Maybe I'll share it online as well. But that is a great, it's the New Haven Coalition of Active Transportation. And they do kind of a networking dinner for, cycling and pedestrian advocates and surrounding areas. And I think, like you said, Becca, you and Tanner went last year and
Yeah,
presented kind of a download on the Bike Walk Commission.
yeah, it was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you for doing that. Okay, excellent.
Wish I could
Uh,
go.
Do you want to send an email to our commissioners with the details there, or do you want me to?
I will shoot you the link for it to disseminate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Um, so then, oh, sorry, back to discussion. This is our last items here. Greg, any updates from TMP?
No, I think Jim highlighted a lot of the ongoing projects that we're going that are wrapping up for the end of this year, and then even the public information meeting for next week. So we hope you all can attend, and then if you all can disseminate that information to as many people as possible, and encourage them to sign up in advance.
Perfect. And then Jalea,
I
any
don't
health
have any
department?
updates, Emily, at the
Okay,
time.
thank you. Okay, last item, any additional commissioner comments, questions, concerns? Speak now, or we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, seconded by Becca. Thank you, Nick. All in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Happy December. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you in the new year.